So if you turned into our brand new first ever hot take live stream today, I hope that you did, 7 p.m. We're going to do it again on Thursday. You got a sneak preview of this next story. This is a Wall Street scandal that is grabbing national attention. Explosive allegations, strong denials, a lot of unanswered questions. I am talking about the Wall Street sex scandal lawsuit. A former banker, reportedly named Chirayu Rana, is suing JPMorgan Chase, claiming discrimination, retaliation, defamation, sexual assault, and also this executive. And in this lawsuit, Rana alleges that a senior executive named Lorna Hajdini subjected him to unwelcome sexual advances and coercive conduct and a hostile work environment, claiming that some of these encounters were non-consensual, that they were tied to his career and compensation and future in the industry. He claims retaliation, saying that when he pushed back, it impacted his professional trajectory. He's seeking millions in damages, including for emotional distress and lost wages. And there has been no public release of hard evidence, like actual embedded text messages or emails or recordings, as far as we could see. Now, a family friend of Rana says he was staying with him when a completely naked Hajdini walked into the living room where he was sleeping, sat down next to him, smoked a cigarette, and asked him to join them in bed. Another witness apparently says they saw Hajdini kissing Rana's neck in the summer of 2024, and a psychotherapist says that Rana is suffering from PTSD. So some evidence there. Now, the other side, Hajdini has categorically denied the allegations, calling them false and fabricated. JPMorgan says it conducted an internal investigation and found no evidence supporting the claims. Usually a big company like that would just say no comment. We're nothing to talk about during active litigation. And a source also told the New York Post that Hajdini was more senior than Rana at the company, but was never his boss. So where's their power dynamic there? There are also new questions about Rana's career. He's been described as kind of like a journeyman banker who's been bounced from firm to firm. He was most recently working at Briegel Sagemount, where he suddenly resigned 3 weeks before he filed the lawsuit in 2025 while working with JPMorgan. He reportedly filed an internal complaint alleging race and gender-based harassment, tried to negotiate a payoff that ran into the millions. That's the reports. That's the allegation. So the big question tonight is, what kind of evidence would actually be needed to prove or disprove allegations like this? Where does the case go here? Joining me now, criminal attorney Arthur Aidala, who knows this better than anybody else. I'm so happy to have you on. I got to start with the big part.
Hold on. I don't get a mariachi.
You don't get a mariachi. I mean, we don't have Katie's budget. We don't have Katie's budget.
What the heck? A Sicilian
I'll get the
band,
crew
maybe.
members to dance for you or something. All right. First things first. I got to say, when I'm reading the complaint can be very bare bones. You don't have to include everything. But particularly after this blew up and everybody made claims, everybody had thoughts about his claims, he refiled it. Why, as far as I could see, why not just include one text, one email that she says anything like he's accusing her of saying?
So when you say a complaint can be very bare bones, that's true in criminal law, right? They just have to check off the elements. But this is a civil lawsuit, and we can talk about that in a minute. Why, if this really is true, why didn't he just hire a lawyer who strolled into the Manhattan DA's office and say she sexually assaulted me? Because it doesn't sound true. That's probably why. So in his detailed complaint, usually there's some kind of smoking gun, a little bit of a smoking gun. And Jesse, this is how it usually works. You don't file the complaint. You draw up the complaint, you put your best foot forward, you say, look, I did this yesterday, literally yesterday with a medical doctor, and he was served with a complaint on the sexual harassment thing. We're not filing this, we're giving you an opportunity to settle it. Here's who I think should really be questioned. His lawyer. Because, you know, I know how you believe in the system and I believe in the system. But the only way the system works is if the lawyers have the integrity to do their due diligence before they take on a case and before they make this complaint. You just said it. For JPMorgan, for them to say that we've done an internal investigation. They don't go hire some like hourly cop, right? They go and hire Paul Weiss, Cravat Swain, and more, some huge law firm. They pay them millions of dollars to dig really deep, and then for them to come out and be like, she didn't do anything wrong? Well, that's powerful stuff.
There are people who be skeptical and say, they're investigating themselves. You know, it's supposed to be independent.
But then what you said is true, that they wouldn't say anything.
They would say nothing during active litigation. Here's the part. The counter argument is, well, okay, he now has 2 affirmations from maybe real people who say they observed some of this. A therapist who says that he suffers from PTSD.
Well, yeah, okay.
They included one text message.
He could suffer from PTSD from the subway being too loud.
Well, what about the affirmations?
Okay, so I mean, I hate to say this because I hate to tell people that the system's bastardized. What he goes to his buddy, he goes, listen, man, I'm suing these people for millions and millions of dollars, and they got millions and millions of dollars. I get the millions of dollars, you'll be fine. You'll get taken care of.
Yeah, but
you think that doesn't happen?
But the counter argument is if he's completely making this up, completely.
Look at his history, Jesse.
But
he's done this before and before. He's made allegations that his father's dead. He told people his father's dead, and
that was a report about that. I'm sure that would be explored in a trial. Look, if he's completely making this up, she can go after him for sanctions. She could go after his attorney for sanctions.
Absolutely, and that's my point. And they should. In other words, they should, but it doesn't happen that often. You know that. It's called the slap act when you have a frivolous lawsuit. But here they're going to say, well, there was enough there that the lawyer could rely on what he said, especially with that affirmation. So that's not likely to happen. But come on, Jesse, you've covered more of these cases and been involved more than I have, right? How many times you hear about the woman who's not technically his boss, even though she's a boss, she's not his boss, it gets found liable for sexual assault and sexual attacks. I'm not buying it, bro.
You said,
and by the way, you got to talk about the fact the judge dismissed a bunch of these. Will dismiss some of these things. They're frivolous. There's not enough.
You raised an important question: the timing of it. I mean, because it's different. But Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni was an interesting case where the dynamics shift. And I kept asking this. I was like, who won in the result? Most people I speak to say, even though now it's been settled, they say Baldoni won. Do you think that's like a motivation now?
In that particular case, a federal judge dismissed her charges of sexual, I think it was sexual harassment and all of this stuff. That doesn't happen that often, but they're in federal court, which you know is a much more serious court than state court. And, you know, the presumption is the guy is guilty, you know, even if it's a civil case. The guy is liable.
Gender dynamic is a factor.
You cannot ignore the gender dynamic. Listen.
You're saying a jury might not believe these claims from him because he's a man or because of the salacious nature of them?
And his history. That would be able to come out in depositions and in cross-examinations. Haven't you made these claims before? The last place you were at, you said there was discrimination. The last place you went out, you wanted millions of dollars. Didn't you make a claim that your father had died? I mean, there's a lot of ways to drag this guy over the coals. And what you said, Jesse, how come there aren't these text messages?
Well, there is one message where it looks like threatening.
I need you, I want you. Yeah, but what about the sexual ones?
Yeah. I didn't see those.
Come on, there's...
I didn't see those messages.
Because you know why you got mariachi bands running around.
I didn't see them in the complaint.
Right, because they don't exist.
Real quick, I hopefully have 30 seconds. I just want to ask you, for all the people making memes about her and doing AI videos about her, can she go after them if they're making money off of her face, her name, image, and likeness? Because if all these allegations are fake, her whole life has been turned upside down.
Yeah, even if they're not. You know, I mean, like, anyway, her whole life is turned upside down. I don't know the answer to that question. If they start monetizing her image, because now she's like a public figure almost.
Right.
She's all over the place, and that's where that line is, when there's a private person, a public figure. I'm sure right now she just wants to disappear. Her whole family, she's got to be distraught, everything around her.
Her face is everywhere on social media right now. All right, I want to see where this develops. I know you'll be with me. Arthur Aidala.
I'll
get you a mariachi.
I'm glad you didn't hit the tequila too hard before it came out. I appreciate that.
Friday nights. Thanks so much. Good seeing you.